live broadcast of the Guam Medical Association's debate featuring your candidates for governor and lieutenant governor of Guam. They're just about ready to get started with the coin toss. The moderator for this evening's debate is Dr. Nathaniel Berg. For those of you watching from home, you have got front seats on what should be an exciting night of politics. Our gubernatorial candidates are seasoned politicians. Carl Gutierrez is a two-term governor serving as the island's chief executive from 1995 to 2003 and served in the Guam legislature for 9 terms. Eddie Calvo is finishing his term as governor of Guam and seeking 4 more years. He is a 5-term senator and a successful businessman. As for your candidates for lieutenant governor of Guam, Ray Tenorio is a former police officer of 14 years. He is a 4-term senator serving in the 27th, 28th, 29th and 30th Guam legislatures. As for his opponent, Gutierrez running mate, Attorney Gary Gumatau, he served as a deputy attorney general. He's chairman of the business department at the Guam Community College and has been practicing law for over 25 years. Now, a couple of things before we head over to the podium. We want to know your thoughts about the debate. You can participate in our live poll on our KUAM Facebook page by voting who you thought better responded to the various topics. We also invite you to place your comments on our Facebook page, as well as just make sure to tag your post by using the hashtag GMA Forum. We will have the results of the live poll later on in our broadcast. With our D14 tonight, analysts Jess Luan, Ron McNich, and Sean Gumatau, they're actually with us now. Gentlemen, it is loud in here. What are you most excited to hear about this evening?
Actually, I'm excited. It's really exciting. I want to hear actually both gentlemen, both camps, of course, their healthcare issues. I mean, it's taken the front lines of everything right now in our government. So I want to hear. It's a very critical point. I'm interested in listening to both sides at this point.
What did you think about? Did you get a chance to watch the Rotary Forum?
Yes, I did. I really want to see what would be the next step in their in this kind of the sprint to election day. So I'm very excited to hear what both have to say, especially articulating their issues relative to healthcare. So I'm really excited about seeing that tonight.
Ron, what about you?
Well, I think this is a great energy-producing event. There's a lot of energy in this room, and I think that energy is going to continue for the next 21 days.
What do you think it's going to take for people? Because people pretty much already know who they're going to vote for. We're 3 weeks out, let's face it, right? So what is it going to take for these candidates to change people's minds and vote for them?
I think on that long weekend, people are going to talk amongst their families and change their minds one way or the other, or support or change or continue what they think. So we'll see.
What do you think, John?
I think that what we have to look forward to is the great debate. This is only kind of setting the table for that crescendo, that kind of grand finale of all the public discourse you'll see. So I'm really excited how this will set that tone going into the final week of the election.
Jess, I didn't get to get your thoughts.
I'm going to say what I said a few weeks ago. I think election night is going to be an early evening. I think the Calvo Tenorio is going to prevail at early evening. I think the people of Guam have decided already who they're going to vote for.
It's still remains to be seen. We got a couple more weeks to go, and I'm really excited about tonight first because I got plenty more to come. So I'm really excited about the next 90 minutes.
Looking forward to hearing more of your thoughts as we head into the debate. Let's go ahead and head to the podium now.
Now, let's welcome on the other side, Governor Calvo and Lieutenant Governor Tenorio. over here. Welcome.
Thanks a lot.
Governor, you'll be on this side, okay? Now, I'm going to use a coin toss here, okay? So right, you can actually sit down here during the debate if you want, or you can walk through. Let's see. Okay. Okay, one more round of applause. Now, this is what we're going to do. The debate is split into 3 segments. The first segment is about 45 minutes, will be between the governor candidates. The second segment will be between the lieutenant governor candidates. The third segment will be between the governor candidates. During the third segment, we will remove these podiums so they can actually walk around. Okay? All right. On the third segment, we're going to remove these podiums so you can actually sit here and you can actually walk around and just have some freedom with the stage. Yeah, so that's not a problem. Now, okay. Now, we haven't decided the coin toss yet. This is a silver dollar. It was given to me by my mom in 1977. Okay, so it's quite an old coin here. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna whoever wins this toss will get to choose to field the first question, or they can choose to field the second question. Okay, the loser of this coin toss will get to choose to close first or close last. Is that clear? Opening statement, if you're going to field the first question, you can have the opening statement. Okay? All right. Okay. If you win the coin toss, you get to choose to field the first question, and you also get to open first. All right? If you lose the coin toss, you get to choose to close first or close last. With the lieutenant governor, we're going to redo the coins. All right? So we'll give you a fair shot. All right. It's football season, right? So we got to make it fun. All right. So who wants to call it? Governor Calvo? Heads or tails? Call it in the air.
Heads.
Heads. It's tails.
I choose to close last. I lost.
Yes. Okay. Governor Gutierrez, you actually won the coin toss. The governor lost the coin toss. That was a tail. He called heads. So he lost the coin toss. So you get to choose if you want to field the first question.
No, I'll open second.
You open second. Will you close first or close last?
I'll close last.
You'll close last. Okay. So you can have a seat there. Yeah, you can have a seat. So
Who makes the first opening?
he'll make the first. All right. You're going to field the first question, correct? You're going to field a second question? Okay, so you, okay. So here it is. Governor Calvo will close last, and he will also field the first question. So he will have the opening statement. Okay. So Governor Gutierrez, you stay here. This is your podium. Yes. Governor Calvo, I'm going to hand the mic over to Dr. Nathaniel Burke, and I'm going to get off the stage.
Opening statement is going first.
Yes.
Opening statement. Okay. So as Dr. Shea mentioned, I'm Dr. Nathaniel Burke. I'm going to be the moderator, which means I'm trying to moderate things, which is going to be difficult with these crowds. But I'll ask that you give me at least some semblance of cooperation, which is, as Dr. Shea said, that during the breaks, loud as you want. In between, certainly applause is welcome, but I'll ask you to please try not to interfere with the continuity of tonight's debate, because we do want to hear both from you with your support, but more importantly, from the gubernatorial candidates tonight. That's what we really want to hear from. I'll ask that everybody please reach into their pocket, their purse, or underneath their right leg, pull out their cell phone and put it on vibrate. So as much as we would like to hear from you during the breaks, we don't want to hear from the babysitters, please. If your phones do go off, we ask that you, and it's an important call, please exit by the corner doors so as not to interfere with the microphones so the people at home can also hear everybody, because the doors are much louder than you might think. Other than that, I do ask that people please try to refrain, particularly when one of the candidates is answering questions, please refrain from providing any interruptions. And respectfully, I'll ask both governors to also allow the other governor who's answering a question to finish their questions and not provide any interruptions, so that people are allowed to finish their answers completely. Thank you. And again, just to reiterate the order, Governor Calvo is going to provide his opening statement. We will then have Governor Gutierrez provide his statement. These are opening statements. These are 2 minutes in length. I will then have a series of 3 questions with some little minor ones mixed in between. That's correct. And Governor Calvo will answer the first question for 2 minutes with a rebuttal by Governor Gutierrez, who will then answer the second question with a rebuttal by Governor Calvo until we go through a series of 3 of the main questions. We will then have, there were several questions that were submitted by the candidates that we've been asked to address to their opposing candidate, and we have one of each. And since Governor Calvo is opening, it'll be his question that'll be asked to Governor Gutierrez, followed by Governor Gutierrez during this section. Hit one of his questions, his first question that's randomly listed for me, which I have actually not seen those questions as of yet. So we'll see those. So without further ado, Governor Calvo, the mic's all yours.
Okay. And good evening, Dr. Berg, Dr. Shea, and all the members of the medical community. I want to thank you so much for allowing us for this dialogue and this debate in this important democratic process that is going on. It's important, too, because you're going to see stark contrast in this debate, as you saw in the last debate. And because of you, the quality of medical care has gone up tremendously in this island since my opponent left office. 4 years ago, you remember? 4 years ago, my opponent threw papers around and data around, and unfortunately, it was the politics of destruction. My family would line its pockets with money. Health insurance would go up by 300%. I would promote Pepsi and smoking. Now we are here 4 years later. All untrue. I still drink a little bit of Pepsi, a little bit. But health insurance have gone down dramatically. So did the rate of smoking, particularly amongst young people. I think the important question here, too, is what happened last week when he throws papers around and documents and data. It's important that you scrutinize it. You can't trust what piece of paper sometimes are written. But I want to thank all of you in the medical profession. There has been so much progress. And look around. Look at our hospital. Look at how it's improved, not only on an operating and an emergency room, but also the expansion in other areas on public health, on outreach for drug education and substance abuse, for finances have finally been fixed up and the economy is going strong. And it's ironic that now with all this forward progress, that the same person that got us in this mess in the first place is now asking to go in the wrong direction. Let's continue in the right direction. Let's go, Calvo. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Governor Calvo. Governor Gutierrez, 2 minutes for your opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Berg, Dr. Shea, and the Guam Medical Association. Let me at the outset say this, that last week at a private gathering of Rotarians, I spoke with them, and some people said that I was angry and doing those, crazy things. So if they feel that way, let me apologize to each and every one of you out there. It's not going to happen tonight. This is a public forum. This is a public forum. But members, this is a serious time for our ladies and gentlemen, this is a serious time for our hospital, our healthcare system, and our community. It calls for serious leadership, not more press releases or election year stunts. It calls for leadership that will stand up for the interests of every family on the island and not just one health insurer or one family. Over $100 million was transferred to Guam Memorial Hospital in the last 4 years out of the appropriations and borrowing from the legislature. Still, we are short of equipment and supplies with over 1,200 employees and an average of $30 million deficit every year. Eddie Calvo fired the last hospital board and put his own people in there on February 17, 2011. And now Eddie would like for us to believe that there is nothing wrong with the problems at GMH, that he sent Troy Torres and Benita Magnoanet to fix them. The question before you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, do you believe him? We need a serious approach. We need a serious approach to the challenges before us with Guam Memorial Hospital and our healthcare system. We need to move seriously to building an urgent care center at Guam Memorial Hospital and relieve the burden at the emergency room while retaining the revenues for the Guam Memorial Hospital. We need to beef up the public health facilities. Well, that was fast. I got some more though.
Thank you.
Not done yet.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay. Now, the island clearly recognizes that we have great ways to go in improving healthcare on Guam. However, both of you have now had time as governor, and as a serving governor, you've had 4 years, and we'd like to know what you've done, you and your administration, as governor to improve healthcare on Guam.
Sure. Well,
That's a
particularly
2-minute
the
question.
hospital, there's two things we've done that's a contrast with my opponent. First of all, we never ran out of medicine or blood products. We continued accreditation, something he said that was impossible. And with that also, there haven't been no convictions at the hospitals either in our term. Public health, we've opened a Southern Community Health Center. We've increased in both community health centers hours to alleviate pressures at the hospital. We're expanding, by the way, the urgent care, Governor, we're doing it. We're moving on an urgent care center after we do the maternity and labor ward as well. Also, we put in a record $80 million in Medicaid. Some of it wasn't appropriated. We just want to thank the fiscal team. We found the money, plus another $10 million in MIP. So almost $100 million has gone for the poor. That's about 3 times the number that in my opposition's time. We are encouraging continued access to health care and different options. I've been in favor of that regional medical hospital. I know the Democrats have been against it, but I believe it's good for the people. I also believe that we should encourage more clinics, and more clinics are opening up. We're moving forward. We've done Medicaid, that services that are not provided here in Guam. We've opened it up in the Philippines. We're going to do the same thing with Medicare. The same work that we did with Medicaid, we're going to do with Medicare. There are so much good that's coming around. And with that, again, I'm asking you all, take a look at the results. Take a look at 20 years ago of, again, no money, no medicine, no accreditation, a dictatorship that threw everything away. And by the way, all those audits you're saying, all your administration, that hospital was either non-auditable or had severe question costs. The first clean audit came out in 2006, years after my opponent's administration. Things are going in the right direction. Let's continue on.
Thank you. Thank you. Governor Gutierrez, 1 minute rebuttal. Please be sure both candidates have been asked to make sure we speak into the microphone.
Yet until this guy's quiet down, so I don't
Indeed.
lose my time.
Please, because it does eat into the time. A light applause would be appreciated. Governor
You
Gutierrez,
know,
1 minute.
ladies and gentlemen, the reason why my opponent likes to dig up and dredge up the past and start throwing the mud is because he is wanting to distance himself from the present and the future that confronts us all if he's reelected. He doesn't want you to think about how the hospital has gone downhill under his watch. He doesn't want you to think that he fired the entire board that got us the accreditation, Lou Leon Guerrero and Miss Mertera. These people got it. And the first thing he did, he makes you wonder, why did you fire the board that kept the cost down below the 35 million you're in deficit every year now? Why did you do it? Think about it. He put all his cronies in there. And where has it gone? But downhill.
Please.
Downhill. It makes you wonder, why is it that you want your own people up there to watch out for your own interest, maybe, and your family's interest?
Okay. All right. Please, you're making my job more difficult. I need to keep things moderated and keep things flowing here. Okay, the next question has to do with providing coverage for all members of our community. We recently found ourselves in a situation where Obamacare was found not to apply to the territory of Guam or any of the territories. That leaves a significant portion of our population without insurance. Specifically, the Guam Medical Association and its members are concerned about those who are employed and yet their employers do not provide health insurance. There are plenty of mandates. You have to pay Medicare, you got to pay Social Security for your employees, and you have to buy insurance, workman's comp insurance. You don't have to buy health insurance for your employers here on Guam, which leaves people who are working and yet they get up every morning and have to make the decision as to whether or not sometimes to spend rent money or go to the Guam Hospital emergency room because they don't have any coverage and they've waited too long. Do you support a mandate? This is first for you, Governor Gutierrez. Do you support a mandate that all employers will provide at least some form of health insurance for those who are working for them? 2 minutes, please.
First of all, the Obamacare mandated that everyone should be covered, even in territories. Subsequent to that, they said, no, we are exempt. The situation is this. There are a lot of the small mom and pop businesses that have 3 or 4 or 5 employees. There's a mom and pop. What has happened over the course of this, since the Obamacare came out, is that businesses that are maybe small, but not that small, they have pooled together, especially like the Women's Chamber of Commerce. They've got a whole bunch of different businesses that pool together to make it easier to get. The Guam Contractors Association did the same thing. Obviously, there's going to be those mom and pop that you do not cover. I propose and I continue like I did back in 2001 in January. I went to the HHS Secretary, Tommy Thompson, and I told him that we need to be able to tilt up our primary care here on Guam, and we need 10 public health doctors and nurses, and even the ones that's going to put the medical records together. And he promised me, and he was coming out in September of 2011. 2001. And he said he was going to bring $10 million, and we're going to sign an agreement, $10 million a year, until we tilt up this people that are not covered. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, 911 hit. He never made it out here. But that proposal is still sitting there at Health and Human Services. I'm going to go back there, and I'm going to make good on that secretary's word. We'll bring the public health doctors here. We'll bring the medical records administrator, those guys that take computer that you don't have now. We'll bring him out here, whatever the title is, we'll bring him out here, and we'll make sure, ladies and gentlemen, we'll make sure that Guam covers all those that are uncoverable because they are so small, they're the mom and pops. But I think that we should redo what has to be done to make sure that we have tax incentives as well for the small business to be able to cover them.
Okay. Thank you. Governor Gutierrez, 30 seconds rebuttal on whether or not we should have an employer mandate to provide health insurance.
Broken record. I'm gonna 8 years to do it, and he didn't do it. He's still promising it. That's the difference between us. As a governor, as a Republican, I've said it from the beginning, I'm for Obamacare. Obamacare, if it's given to us, the territories, as is applied to the states. Unfortunately, with the Democratic administration and a Democratic Senate that made the changes, the territories were excluded. I do believe, of course, on mandatory insurance. It's part of the three-legged stool. But again, when we're getting the 100% support from Medicaid from the states, and we're only getting 57%, well, what I'm going to do is going to try to push, so at least for FAS citizens to participate in Medicaid, so at least 57% could be paid. And then I'm going to fight the Democratic Congress. I'm going to fight the Democratic administration and say, hey, treat the territories like you treat the other states. Let's get that. Let's get that tax credit. Let's get that tax credit. So yes, I'm for mandatory health insurance. Part of the three-legged stool. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now I will ask again, most importantly, if there, I hate to play policeman up here, but if there are interruptions to one of the candidates by the opposing side, it's pretty easy for me to know which one is that. I'm going to extend the answers. So if someone interrupts, we're going to give an extra 10 seconds to every time there's an interruption. We really need to allow the candidates to finish answering their questions. Now, this next question segues right into from the last question, and that is, it has to do with compact impact. Now, this is a topic that we've discussed at every debate for years. And specifically, as we discussed last night in the senatorial forum, you can throw as much money as you want, or we can get as much money as we want from the federal government, but if we don't use that money effectively to provide health care for the citizens who are impacted, of the FSM who come here, we're going to run into the same problems. Part of it is that they don't understand how to access healthcare here. When they go to school, the kids go to school, they're identified as not speaking English as a primary language, and they're mandated to take English as a foreign language. However, when they come here and they're used to going to do a dispensary in a small island as the only place for healthcare, they come here, they don't have insurance. Medicaid certainly could be a solution if they have it from their home territory or country, but they use Guam Memorial Hospital as their primary care facility. How do we finally address the impact of the Compact of Free Association? Governor
Again,
Calvo.
you know, what I mentioned earlier, we have about $90 million that has been invested in Medicaid MIP. Obviously, for those that are FAS citizens, they're using MIP. The request, and I've made that request to see if we could get Micronesian citizens to be participatory in Medicaid, so that it would at least get at least 57% share from the federal government. But folks, we don't have elected offices, and you know, again, the Democrats held a bill up to sue the federal government. I'm going to push very hard to ensure that we get these benefits. But if it means a lawsuit, then we have to lawsuit. We got to treat all American citizens, including the states, fairly. So there's a compact impact treaty. In that treaty, they are obligated, the federal government, to fully recompense the people of Guam. They're also obligated to use those naval hospital facilities for care of Micronesian citizens. It has not occurred. This is something where, again, we've been requesting, and we're asking for assistance also from the delegate. But if need be, we're going to have to even go more difficult and more stringent measures, such as filing lawsuits. But in the meantime, it's up to all of us. That means investing in our hospital, investing in our public health centers, in creating an urgent care facility at the hospital to alleviate the pressures of that emergency room that is so expensive, so that we can incorporate not only our local citizenry, but also of those that have immigrated from the compact states. So it's multi-level. It's what we have to do within our control here in Guam, and by investing in health facilities to pay for them, and then at the same time pressing the federal government to make good in their promises. Thank you.
Governor Gutierrez, how do you propose to solve the longstanding problem?
Well, first, let me just say this about our FAS citizens. they contribute very positively to our economy. Number one, some of us don't believe it, but they contribute. Not only do they contribute positively, but on the negative side, we receive $18 million of compact impact funds a year now. When I was governor, it was 4.58. Situation is this, and thank God that we have a speaker in the Guam legislature with the Democratic senators working with the Association of Pacific Island Legislatures, trying to pool all of the Micronesian islands, Guam, so that we have an insurance coverage by all these people around us. Because the Navy is not going to appropriate the money under the compact to make sure that they take the citizens to come in Naval Hospital. They tricked us. They said, oh, we're going to authorize you people to use the hospital, but they never appropriated it. You looked at that language, they never say that they're going to appropriate it. Authorizing, and for 2.5 decades, they never appropriated the funds. I think it's about time that we pound on the door and do it. You got a network to do it.
Okay, now at this point, I'm taking the first question that Governor Calvo submitted that he wanted me to ask of Governor Gutierrez. And then we'll take the first question from Governor Gutierrez. So this is from Governor Calvo. Governor Gutierrez, in your 2002 State of the Island address, you threatened to increase taxes and to lay off GovGuam employees because of the poor state of affairs of the government. At the end of your 2 terms, by your very own admission, people were not better off. At a pocket meeting a few weeks ago, you said there's no way around layoffs in January. If you are elected, will you lay off GovGuam workers in January?
Well, so let me tell you that my term from 1995 to 2003, the first week. If anybody of you remember just how many disasters hit this island? BRAC 93, BRAC 95, they closed down SRF, they realigned NICTAM, they realigned the naval station, they closed down NAS Agana. All the 7,000 people that were military were gone. The 1,000 families from SRF were gone. The economy fell. It fell by almost 300 million while I was in office. The fact of the matter is that I was not trying to raise whatever you're saying I'm raising. It's the legislature that has the authority to do that. Raise taxes. It's not me. It's the legislature that does that. Did they ever send me one to sign? Absolutely not. You have to come back and live in our reality, Governor. You cannot live in your own reality because the facts does not bear out. You're entitled to your own opinion, but not to your own facts. I'm telling you this, Governor, you're going to be found out even more because as time goes on, you would realize that whatever you're throwing out there in the brainwashing, inculcating of the minds of our people, they've found out about what your trick is. And they're not going to accept it anymore, Governor.
1 minute rebuttal, Governor Calvo.
Yeah, against some of the folks that were in your pocket meeting decided to go to Gubernatorial because they heard about the thousands that were going to be laid off when you become governor. In fact, I think it's in YouTube. I'm not going to lay off anybody in January. That's a promise. We're not going to raise taxes. And by the way, natural disasters. I came in at a $330 million deficit. 2/3 of it were tax refunds. Tax refunds that, of course, being owed starting with my opponent's administration. That's a disaster. A poor hospital where nurses couldn't retire, or Department of Education where teachers couldn't retire because retirement contributions weren't paid from my opponent's administration. That's a disaster. COLA that was not paid. EIC where my opponent actually sued not to pay EIC, and all these millions owed as part of that deficit. That's a disaster. By the way, folks, this thing with the dump, when my opponent was trying to build an incinerator, he decided to stop everything else from happening. And that's when we had no trash being picked up and fires in Ordot. I could go on and on. There is a natural disaster when I came in. It started from him.
Okay. Thank you. Governor Calvo. Please. Governor Calvo, this is a question submitted by Governor Gutierrez. There have been allegations that as governor, you have given millions in tax write-offs to your family. If true, those funds could have instead gone to GMH. Would you agree as suggested to a forensic audit? 2 minutes, please.
Speaking of the dump, I heard that in the last one about tax credits. I say, what tax credits? Oh yeah, that tax credits. Let me tell you, folks. I'm not involved, but I don't think any Calvo family member, any one of those landowners in Dundon, wanted to have their land condemned by the government. And of course, because the government couldn't pay, the only way to do it was in tax credits. And by the way, they didn't ask for in full. It was asked partially so the government won't go bankrupt. And by the way, it's other parties too. Anyone who wanted the tax credit, they can get it. And it's interesting, this whole issue on tax credits and paying off land that was taken from landowners. It's because of a sin that was committed 20 years ago, because my opponent could not pick up the garbage. He could not keep the fires from burning. And unfortunately, the federal government stepped in, and the rest is history.
Thank you. Governor Gutierrez, 1 minute rebuttal.
Did you hear that, my dear people of Guam, the hocus pocus? We're not talking about land tax credit. We're talking about, have you ever written off taxes and penalties to one of your family's businesses? Are you willing to allow us to do a forensics audit? Is the question. That's the question. Answer if you did, and that's all we're asking you. Did you write off taxes, interest, and penalty amounting to $3.6 million recently to one of your family's businesses? You answer that. If you don't want to answer, we can go in and do a forensics audit. That's all I'm asking you. But this hocus pocus of shifting it over to the land and tax and credit, that's not what we're talking about. You're not going to fool the people out there. We're talking about real taxes and penalty that you're charging our poor people out there $100. Every one of them, poor people.
Oh, no,
you bring him into revenue tax, and you make them pay, or you go to jail. But why is it that when it's you that owe $3.6 million, you just write it off to zero?
Okay. Another falsehood and myth that he asked me the question. It's false.
I think
it's false.
another.
It's false, as usual, coming from him.
Well, let's in the interest, if we'd like, we can give, before we take a break, we'll give each governor 30 more seconds. Governor Calvo, 30 additional seconds, please.
Yeah.
Let's allow each to answer the question. Additional 30 seconds. Please allow them to answer, and then we'll take a break. Governor Calvo.
Sure.
Yes.
Again, I'm giving it straight. By the way, the books are auditable in government of Guam, whether it's a Department of Revenue Tax or any other agency, and I'm pretty sure with Calvo Enterprises too. When you were around, the books weren't auditable, so that was the problem with why the federal money left us. But with that, no, I did not authorize any whatever write-off. I guess you can read. You go into Revenue Tax, huh? Oh, I tell you, I thought that was illegal, or was just manufactured. Thank you.
Okay, I think Dr. Berg, we have about 15 minutes more.
Okay.
So the next 2-minute question will go to Governor Gutierrez.
Okay, so you take 30 seconds for this
Ladies
question.
and gentlemen, Mr. Governor, we're talking about income tax. You, under the Organic Act, is a tax commissioner. You can designate your director, but the buck stops with you. I didn't say you authorized. Maybe you gave a wink. I don't know. But because those documents are so protected by federal law that you thought that nobody ever was going to see it. Well, some tax whistleblower threw it out on the street, and it's there, and it's beyond only the family business, but some members of your family as well.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on. We're going to move on to a topic. Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to medicinal marijuana, which the legislature has now voted successfully to put as a proposal to the people of Guam to know, primarily to know, do the people of Guam want to allow medicinal marijuana as an option in our community, pending legislation that will define exactly how it is to work. And the question is, do you support the proposal as it is, and would you support implementation were it to pass? I think at this point we're actually, sorry, Governor Gutierrez, lost track of myself. 2 minutes, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, the proposal that's out there right now is whether you, first of all, I don't think anyone should get between the doctor and his patient, her patient. The proposal that's out there right now, if passed by referendum, requires that rules and regulations are written up so that we can move forward and make sure that it stays within the realm of medical marijuana. Passing a law by referendum, within 2 years, the legislature can go in and change it. That's the rules, and that's the law in the Organic Act. Coming out and just doing a blanket decriminalization or legalization is something that the community can begin to talk. We take baby steps. Deal with this issue right now. Find out from the community whether marijuana for medicinal use is okay. Let's explore the next step. We're not saying that we're going to hold back and stop it there, but let's explore the next step. Right now, I understand that the addictive rate for marijuana is around 10% compared to 30% for alcohol. You know, so it's not being put at Schedule 1 for some good reason. I don't know why it's put there. Alcohol should go there, Schedule 1 itself. But I'm saying to you that we need to reinvent what's happening with our war on marijuana. Too many people are in jail for the use of marijuana when it should not happen. It is not a crime that you people would want somebody to be taken away from their families. There's a way, as an interdiction from the community, to beef up the former mental health. I forgot the name of that new place now, but let's deal with it. But do not ever equate marijuana as addictive. That's going to ruin your life. It has been proven that it is not.
Thank you. Governor Calvo, 1 minute, please.
Yeah, I, like many people, everyone here has had experience with someone, either themselves or close to them, that is hurting, sick, and either you want to either get a medicine to make them feel good or take the pain away or to heal them. So I'm open to everything, but I'm not a doctor. There are two conditions that I would like to see happen before I would say, let's go have medicinal marijuana. You, the medical professionals, the doctors, you're the doctors. You got to tell us whether this has a value as a medicine, whether it's for relieving pain or healing. Number two, we need to have the proper regulatory mechanisms in place. So whoever the governor is, whatever administration, whether it's in the growing aspect, in the distribution to the pharmacies, or the dispensing, that means rev and tax, law enforcement, the Attorney General's Office in Public Health, we better have the necessary resources to ensure that it's properly regulated, because we don't want another black market to occur or substance abuse. Thank you.
A follow-up to that is, would you support the legalization of marijuana for recreational use? That's a 1 minute question. Governor Calvo.
I'm sorry, no. Because I'm overseeing law enforcement, I've seen most of the crimes that are occurring in Guam, there's a connection. And it's substance abuse is one of them. So whether it's legal drugs such as alcohol or illegal drugs such as crystal meth, substance abuse, do we want to take a chance in adding one other drug into the equation for legality? So what is it, 10% now? So what is it going to be, 20%? Would that make everybody happy? I don't think it's the right way to go. Folks, I think we should keep marijuana illegal when it comes to recreational purposes. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Governor Gutierrez.
If it's 30% addictive with alcohol, obviously you agree because you keep selling it. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, let's get this referendum to pass. Let's get the rules and the regulations. It might take a year or two. Who knows? This is going to be stamped out where the public are going to accept it. Once having done that, then the medical community can come together and see and look and study what has transpired for, let's say, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and see whether in fact we have the mechanism in place to watch it and control it, so that there's not being any abuse out there with the medical marijuana use. Let's go with that first step before we discuss the second step. That's a major step that requires the entire community to be involved.
Thank you. Governor Gutierrez, there's a problem that has plagued the health community and therefore the members of our community at large for many years, and that is a failure for payments to be administered properly, or at least in a timely fashion, through MIP and Medicaid. It's led to many, if not the vast majority, of clinics and private providers not being able to take patients who have Medicaid and MIP. There was previously an effort at privatizing the administration of MIP and Medicaid, and it was not able to proceed because there was a lack of adequate data. From what we understand now, in talking with Senator B.J. Cruz last night, the data is now available. So as a solution, we know that they're hard-working and dedicated folks up at MIP and Medicaid, but they are simply overwhelmed with the task of handling all the extraordinarily increasing amount of data that comes across their table. They get it done, but not quickly, leading to what the situation we have. What solutions do you propose? And does it involve privatization of the administration of MIP and Medicaid?
Well, we don't know what the solution might be, but the first step is I have a lot of trust in Senator B.J. Cruz to get the data and come up with some kind of solution. Pulling the facts in and trying to implement something like that, the privatization of Medicare or Medicaid, is a very, very tough situation. We tried back. You were trying to help us at that Vision 2001, but it's a very complicated matter. And the doctors have to be involved also, because there's a problem with the billing on the doctor's side. So it's not just the government that's a problem, it's the health providers were giving problems. So we have to also go in and find out just what they're doing that's making it very complicated for public health to come out with a payment. Obviously, there's something wrong. It's not for lack of cash, because the cash comes from the federal government. So let's go find out what it is that, not just the government side, get the data from the providers out there in the business community, in the doctor's office.
Governor Calvo?
Yeah, in my opponent's administration, payments, and I see the problem with the doctors, payments would take either a year or never get paid. He did invest $7 million in Oracle and Agupa to fix a system to a crony, and it was an abject failure. So that was part of it. With us, we've cleaned up the act. We've got a PH Pro system, billing system working. We're going now between 30 to 90 days in clean claims. So I do believe we're going in the right direction. The issue now for us, if you were to look at privatization, you're looking at 4% administrative costs right now by the management, by public health. I don't know whether there's any private company, doctor, you know your costs in a clinic, where 4% would be adequate for administrative costs plus profit. So if there are, we can look into it. But I think right now we're going in the right direction. We're cleaning this public health up. Thank you.
Okay. This is a related question.
Do I have 30 seconds?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Actually not.
I think no, because that was the rebuttal, actually.
You changed it? You're changing it?
No, because a 2-minute question, we'll go back to it. We're back on track.
Follow the rules. Follow the rules.
I think so. Because we had a 2-minute answer and a 1-minute
Here's what
rebuttal.
we're going to do.
Okay.
We have only about 5-10 minutes left. This will be the last question, and we're going to move on to the
Are you
next
changing
segment.
it in the middle of the game?
No, I think we
No,
had a
no,
I'm supposed to get 30 seconds, and he gets
question and a
30
rebuttal.
seconds.
No, I'll keep track. Here's the last question, and then Governor Gutierrez, you can answer back, or you can actually answer the same question. This is the last question before we go on to the next one. This question to you, Governor Calvo, is what can you identify as a strength and weakness of your opponent, and then vice versa? And then we'll break, and then we'll go into Lieutenant Governor.
He's a charismatic man. I wish I had that charisma. That's what got him to be in politics for 30 years and be governor for 2 terms. The weakness, he breaks the rules.
Very well.
In more ways than one. Thank you.
Governor Gutierrez, 1 minute.
You know what I really admire about Governor Calvo is his tenacity and willingness and avidness of loving his family. He just loves his family so much that sometimes he forgets who he's working for as governor of Guam. When a governor negotiate with himself in the healthcare business, guess who wins? You don't have to answer that question. When he negotiates with himself, when the governor negotiates with himself, who wins? Just like this last bid, who won? The problem is that his weakness is that he doesn't tell the facts. He creates his own reality with his people and says, this is it, ladies and gentlemen, believe it, and I'm going to tell my people at KUAM to tell you that it's good. That's all he does.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to take a break now.
Okay. Take a break. Okay.
Up next.
When we come back, I'll ask you to keep it similar tone. Again, the most important thing is please allow the candidates to answer their question. Thank you very much for everyone.
So you take, let's
Thank
take
you.
Kim.
Hold
Okay,
on.
let's take Kim. All right.
1 second, folks. Hold up. Hold up.
Okay, let's take 10-minute break. There's food outside and coming back within 7 minutes. We'll get settled in, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff?
Guam is good because of its beauty. We are so blessed to live in paradise. Guam is good because of the values, customs, and respect passed from generation to generation. Guam is good because of our community's generous, giving nature. Guam is good because you can always count on our people to be there to celebrate the good times and help through the bad times.
10 years ago, our family founded the Edward M. Calvo Cancer Foundation as a tribute to our grandfather.
Our slogan, Guam is good, comes from 3 simple words that he stated just before passing away from cancer.
We were all touched by this disease, and his love for our island home motivated us to help others battling cancer.
Today, this message and his legacy lives on through the foundation.
Together with you, we have been able to provide assistance to so many battling cancer in our community, and will continue to help those in need thanks to your generosity.
Dangkuluna si Juus maase.
Dito masi.
It's back. The KUAM Care Force presents the annual Trick or Treat 2K and 5K Family Fun Run Walk, brought to you by Leo Palace Resort on Sunday, October 26th. Come in your costume for the most fun you'll have at any race event on Guam, with a zombie Zumba warm-up, plenty of treats along the race course, a costume contest, post-race games, and certificates for the top finishers in each division, plus t-shirts to the first 250 5K finishers, Trick or Treat bags for the first 250 2K finishers, and Halloween medals for the first 250 kid finishers 10 and under. Showtime is 4:15 p.m. with go time at 5 p.m. at the Leo Palace Resort. Advanced registration is only $6 per person and $20 for a family of 4. Register at KUAM in Harmon, Hornet Sports, or Leo Palace Resort. Race day registration is $10 per person. You can also download the application at KUAM.com/promotions. Proceeds benefit the Special Olympics Guam. Get ready to howl at the spooktacular sunset at the KUAM Care Force annual Trick or Treat 2K and 5K. Brought to you by Leo Palace Resort. Special thanks to Gatorade, Hanum, Community First Federal Credit Union, McDonald's of Guam, Loco Promos, and Chuck E. Cheese. For more information, call 635-5836 or visit us online at KUAM.com/promotions.
For over a decade, the KUAM Care Force has been bringing smiles to our children in our community with our annual holiday toy drive.
This year, the spirit of giving continues as we are pleased to announce our partnership with the U.S. Marine Corps Toys for Tots program.
Join us and a host of businesses, organizations, and individuals all over Guam as we spread that Christmas joy by collecting new unwrapped toys and gifts for children in need.
The Toys for Tots program, now in its 6th year on island, benefits the Salvation Army in their annual Santa's Workshop program.
You may drop off your new unwrapped toys for children and teens between now and December 13th to any of our boxes around Guam or the KUAM studios in Harmon.
On behalf of the U.S. Marine Corps
and the KUAM Care Force,
we thank you for coming together
and sharing in the spirit of the season.
on Monday, October 20th.
How do I look? Rhetorical question. I kind of know I look great.
See Sean Hayes bring his Sean Hayesiest best when he joins the Millers.
Maybe a little peek, a little peeky poo, a little pookity peekity.
The season premiere of the Millers on their new night.
Get out! I know!
Monday, October 20th after The Big Bang Theory. Only CBS.
Last year, you showed us what you were made of and which prognosticators reigned supreme. This NFL season, Pigskin Pick'ems is back. Get in on the action on KUAM.com for a chance to win weekly prizes and bragging rights. Compare your scores weekly with KUAM's NFL panel and other participants around Guam. The Pick'ems page gives you access to power rankings, depth charts, schedules, and interacts with your Facebook page. Get on board and start picking today.
Brought to you by Chili's, home of the Margarita Bar and the famous Presidente Margarita.
You're really back.
You're as keen an observer as ever, Detective.
I was counting on you dying. You work for Sherlock.
She's my protege. Going on.
The new season of Elementary begins Thursday, October 30th.
$700,000. That's the number of Americans living with a brain tumor today, but most people are unaware. Hi, I'm Bob Crawford of the Ava Brothers, and I was one of those people until the day my 2-year-old daughter, Hallie, was diagnosed with a brain tumor. There is no cure, and treatment options are limited. The National Brain Tumor Society is leading the fight for a cure. Visit braintumor.org to learn what you can do to help.
This message has been brought to you by the KUAM Care Force.
You're really back.
You're as keen an observer as ever, Detective.
I was counting on you dying. You work for Sherlock.
She's my protege. Going on.
The new season of Elementary begins Thursday, October 30th.
KUAM News is committed to keeping you informed before you head to the polls this election. Watch D14 Tonight live every Monday evening on KUAM TV8 at 6:30 p.m. Meet the political hopefuls, hear from the analysts, get the latest poll results, cruise along with the candidates, and ask your questions on Guam's most comprehensive weekly election news broadcast. Tune into KUAM TV8 and Isla 63. Watch and streaming video on KUAM.com or interact and ask your questions via Facebook and keep the conversation going. There's only one source to turn to for all your Decision 2014 news, Guam's News Network, KUAM.
What do you want to be when you're older?
Hold on, it's like a deep question.
When I'm older, I want to be a singer. Ha 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 ha. That's my goal.
I'm not sure I want to invent the supercomputer, but I definitely want to build the supercomputer.
I want to be an inspiration.
An organizer of like do-gooders.
I want to be a veterinarian. I want to help out animals and work with them.
A media mogul. Just rule the world.
When I'm older, I want to be anything but the one that doesn't fit in, the one that people don't love.
Everyone deserves a dream.
Everyone.
But some of us feel depressed, anxious, angry, and do things that others think aren't normal.
We can't even focus on the present, much less the future. If that's you, say something.
It's okay to talk. It's okay to share. It's okay to get help or help someone.
Talk to someone. It helps. And people will listen. Add your voice at okaytotalk.org.
This message has been brought to you by the KUAM Care Force.
We all lead busy lives. Striking a balance between home and work, between raising a teen and a toddler and managing a news team can be challenging, but at the end of the day, it is worth it. There's nothing like knowing you made someone's day complete by informing them about a new development or showcasing a milestone. I'm Sabrina Salas Matinani, and I am a proud member of your news team, Guam's news leader, KUAM.
Call heads? All right. Tails. You want the coin toss?
You first.
Okay, so you go first. You choose to, Lieutenant Governor, you want to choose to close or you want to choose to?
Close second. I'll choose to close.
You choose to close as well. Okay.
Okay.
On we go.
Okay, again, I'll ask again that I think everybody noticed that when we're able to hear the answers to the questions, we're all better served by that. Again, if you happen to have turned your phone on to make a call, please reach in your pocket, in your purse, under your right leg, wherever your phone is, and ensure that it's on vibrate. Thank you. And again, if you're just joining us, if your phone does ring and you need to take a call, exit by one of the doors on the end of the room because it's really quite loud. And again, let's be respectful to candidates and allow them to share their answers with us. Without further ado, Lieutenant Governor Gubernatorial, 1.5 minutes opening statement.
I want to thank all the doctors, the medical professionals, and everybody who put this together. I especially want to thank all of our supporters, as well as the supporters for our opponent, for making the time to be here to engage in this process. This is an important forum for us to be able to see the differences between the contrast and the candidates, obviously, for governor and lieutenant governor. I know Gary Gubernatorial. I've known him for many years as an attorney, of course, as a friend of my mom, as well as myself. And so we have this relationship, just like we have with all the people of Guam. And this is the difference between the right direction and the alternative. This is a difference between a governor who puts his highest priority at paying tax refunds or a governor who puts his lowest priority at paying tax refunds. It's a difference between a governor who's improved the school system in building Tijan and renovating Antalan and committing $100 million for the renovation of the other schools versus a governor who ultimately fought with the board, took over the Department of Education, and then lost federal funding that created the DODEA system. This is a difference between a government that makes a difference in efficiencies and professionalism, not cronyism and corruption. It's a difference between the governor who has been not just living up to his commitment, but committed to making sure that every single person on our island is represented in the democracy that we have, but improving our island. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to continue to support the right direction. I ask for your vote for Calvo Tenorio. Sudus Masi. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Tenorio. Attorney Gubernatorial, 1.5 minutes for your opening statement.
Buenas noches. In July of 2012, the departing admiral from Guam decided that he would use his departure as an opportunity to take pot shots at the leadership of Guam. He told the people of Guam that the leadership needed to man up. Ray Tenorio followed on that same day at the same venue and said the leadership of Guam needed to man up. And what they were talking about was the fight over Tijan, the inability of the Navy to provide an EIS that was adequate. And if you recall, a private attorney here in Guam by the name of Levin Camacho joined with a stateside attorney and sued the military and won a judgment where that they'd have to come back and now do a proper EIS. And Congress has also validated the leadership of Guam by saying to the military, you're not getting 1 cent for a buildup until you give us a proper plan. You, Ray Tenorio, disparaged the leadership of Guam. You, Ray Tenorio, disparaged the Micronesian community of Guam. You've blamed them for the problems on Guam. You've disparaged the Filipino community. Now, recently, you've disparaged the Chinese community. That's not what you're going to expect as a Magalagi Segundo from our team. What you're going to expect from us is that we're going to represent and honor the needs of everybody here in the Chamorro tradition. We represent everyone, leadership for all.
Okay.
Yeah, and then can I explain the bell a little bit? The reason we're doing the bell is because we want a candidate, just for this particular segment, is to add 30 seconds time. We have one bell. At the end, when stop is two bells, just for this particular.
Thank you.
Okay. So this segment is going to be focused in part on topics that may not win an election. We're talking about people who are underserved and people who have a very small voice in this community. And we're going to start out with those who seek the services of the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse. It's an area of healthcare that's been so underserved for so many years. And we're asking you now, during your next term as Lieutenant Governor or during your first term as Lieutenant Governor, and we'll start out with you, Attorney Gubernatorial, how will you take steps to solve a problem that's been around for decades, that may take many years, but we've got to start somewhere in addressing the ongoing and persistent problems of a lack of access to quality mental health, particularly for the impoverished members of our community? 1.5 minutes.
It's now the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. The problems we're experiencing up there right now is the federal government came in because of several lawsuits. It's not a receivership per se, but they did come in, and now the Calvo administration has managed to come back and take over the management of that operation. But the problem that we're having right now is that we're not able to meet the federal mandates. Okay, we haven't been able to hire the required people. We haven't been able to come up with a way to bill anybody. Right now, it doesn't matter whether you have private insurance, no insurance, MIP, or you're covered by the federal Medicare, Medicaid, because Gov Guam is not charging a penny to any of these people. It's been that way for many, many years. And this is typical of government. Okay, they come out with a program, it's not fully funded, and it causes big problems. Now, GMH is already a sore thumb for us. It's causing problems. We're already in deficit over there, and it's not a pretty picture. But the problems over at behavioral health are even worse. Remember that DOC, the recent problem over there right now is because they're not giving services over to DOC. And they need to do that because a lot of the people up there are in need of those services. So what we need to do is put our arms around the problem. We need to fund it fully. That's what we really need to do. And then start to give it day-to-day management from the top to the bottom to make sure that the governor's office has got its finger on the pulse and that we get it corrected. That's the way to do it.
One-minute rebuttal, Lieutenant Governor Tenorio.
I appreciate Mr. Gubernatorial's response because he just acknowledged that the Calvo Tenorio administration had so much confidence that we not just took it back from per se receivership, we've had it under good management ever since and have not gone back under that federal management. That's a great testament, not only to the people who work in the Department of Public Health and Mental Health and GMH and all the other people who have not come under receivership, is the fact that we've not been sustained in that regard. So the federal government came in and took responsibility when we could have and should have and did ultimately take it back from management. This administration is about serving every single person with professionals. They got more psychiatrists, they got more professionals working at mental health, which is now the behavioral health and wellness, than they've had in the past. And we're getting a psychiatrist, as a matter of fact, who's going to work in DOC just this coming week. The contract's under review of the Attorney General's office. Ladies and gentlemen, we're making progress. We are moving the direction we should be, the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question, Lieutenant Governor Tenorio, revolves, again, a sector of our community that probably, no matter what the answer is for either one of you tonight, is not going to affect who wins the election, but it's important to our community anyway, and that is the inmates, both detainees and those who have been convicted and are serving time in Manilao. We clearly see that they're underserved with healthcare, as you mentioned. Okay, there are steps being taken now, but this has been a problem, again, of years and years, and we're discovering some things that we saw that are really awful, that patients are being denied care. They're patients to us. They're not detainees. They're humans. They're members of our community, some of whom haven't been convicted of anything. And yet we see that they are being deprived of standard of care now and have been for many, many years. What steps are you going to take as Lieutenant Governor and as part of the next administration, whether it be reelected or the new administration, to stop that?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're already stopping that. The treatment is going to every single patient. We have a problem with efficiencies, which we're working on. When we first came into office, we had one part-time physician. Now we have a full-time physician. We have one nurse at the time that we took office. Now we have 4. We have 3 psych tech, which is psychiatric technicians. They are on board. We have 1 medical clerk who's assisting where before there was none. We're making great strides in this regard, but we're working toward actually allowing the dental and the medical community to be able to bid for that contract, because it's best to be put in the hands of a doctor in a clinic within the Department of Corrections rather than having the director have to manage something that he frankly is not supposed to be managing. He's supposed to be managing the entire Department of Corrections. I agree with you exactly. Every single person is entitled to care. Every single person should get that care, regardless whether convicted or detainees. And that's exactly what's happening. We have problems, of course, but even the district court has acknowledged we've made great strides. We're closer to being out from the stipulated agreement than any administration has ever been. We are supportive of building a brand new facility, not just to have an infirmary, but also the mental health facilities, as well as the dental facilities, medical and everything else, and save our people a lot of money on overtime and other costs. We are making the right choices, and we are correcting the problems of the past. And ladies and gentlemen, we are making those things happen now, not next year.
Thank you. Thank you. Attorney Gubernatorial, 1 minute rebuttal.
This is the problem. You didn't answer the question. The question is, what are you going to do? I'll tell you what I would do. I'd fire the DOC director before we all get sued. To withhold treatment for somebody that's HIV positive for any reason at all is wrong. It's absolutely wrong. He's entitled to treatment. You don't have to go to law school to understand that. The director was told by health professionals this man needed it. He had to wait till he went to court and was going to do a plea agreement while he was under duress before that the judge recognized what was going on and said, no way, I'm not taking the plea agreement, and I'm ordering you to provide the services. You're not doing your job. You should have fired the guy instead of patting him on the back. That's what you need to do, is make sure these directors follow the law.
Thank you. Thank you. The next question is one that I think that the healthcare community has recognized as a problem for quite a long time. But again, the administration and perhaps the population at large has not seen as a problem because they're not aware of it. There's a lack of continuity between Guam War Hospital and the Department of Public Health that costs us a tremendous amount of money and also leads to poor quality care. And that is that right now, when patients go to the Department of Public Health and they later go to Guam War Hospital, their records aren't available. The physicians who work and other healthcare providers who work at the Department of Public Health don't work at Guam War Hospital. So patients who arrive there in the evening or perhaps an automobile accident, they might have an acute problem, but long-standing, chronic problems. The physician who sees them there, they don't have the records. It's one system. And those people end up having delayed care, and they have to wait sometimes till the next morning to get the records. The lack of integration costs us money because we repeat tests. A patient may have well had an x-ray done early in the afternoon. They're going to get another one because the results aren't available. What will you do during the next 4 years to help integrate that to provide better quality care to the patients who are served by public health in Guam War Hospital and to reduce the costs? It's to you, Attorney Gubernatorial.
Thank you. Well, we clearly need to unify the records and make them HIPAA compliant so they're protected and confidential. But there's no reason at all, since we're such a small island, that we can't unify the records. And every person that gets off the boat that comes to Guam should be given a health card and told about the different systems that we have and what's available. So we're not going to overwhelm what's going on over at GMH. This kind of answers a question that was asked earlier. But we need to integrate and unify the records and make sure that this information is made available to every healthcare professional whenever they're dealing with a patient.
Attorney Gubernatorial, 1 minute.
Thank you. Doctors know the system best. They know the weaknesses. They know the problems. We're working with those same doctors to be able to establish the electronic health record system. There's a gentleman by the name of Ed Cruz, who was the Bureau of Information Technology expert, who was working to establish that in conjunction with Obamacare. A lot of these efficiencies are already coming to bear. You know, it's a far cry from the Oracle system or the Agupa system, but it's going to still not working Agupa, you know, that was spent $5-7 million that never got anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, we've not just got that with the BH Pro system, which is obviously establishing those communication linkages between public health and GMH, as well as other places and other clinics throughout the island. The ability for us to be able to communicate, to not have those redundant services is essential, because no one should have to pay twice for the same service ultimately that they've already received. We are taking those steps. We have made strides in electronic records, and we're going to continue to do the same thing, so it saves you all money. Suzus Masi, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. This question, we've asked the questions about marijuana. We've asked about medical marijuana. We also have talked about recreational marijuana. And this question is going to be directed to each of you that will reflect your history. So you'll have 1 minute to answer and 30-second rebuttal each. So I'll start here with Lieutenant Governor Tenorio. As your time as a police officer, we're asking you to comment on whether or not the current system of police enforcement of recreational marijuana is working. You think we should keep the system as it is? Or is there a mechanism as a police officer in your experience to allow for a better way of enforcing the laws? And does it involve legalization in some fashion for recreational marijuana?
It's ultimately up to the people to decide whether they want to go recreational, medicinal. I myself don't support recreational because of a lot of reasons. It's a gateway drug to many other hard crimes or other drugs. And it really, the drugs, as the governor had indicated, is really the cornerstone of many of the heinous crimes that we have in our community. Burglary, robbery. As a matter of fact, those same statistics were almost double what they are now during the Gutierrez administration versus what they are now. The robberies, the burglaries, the thefts were at least 50% higher during the Gutierrez administration than they are right now. We have been making strides, ladies and gentlemen, improving the crime problem that we have. We have more police officers, we bought more patrol cars, but the reality is, if you go to the system of looking at enforcement, officers see someone, they arrest them or they cite them because it's a violation. We don't need to change the system. We need to look at what the community wants. If the community wants to go recreational marijuana or medical marijuana or any other kind of enforcement, that comes from law, that comes from legislature. Thank you very much.
So before you allow for rebuttal on that, again, Attorney Gubernatorial, as an attorney, do you think the current system works well, or is there a better answer, and does it involve in some form legalization of recreational marijuana?
Given I've got a little bit of time here, let me go back to the last question. That was that the government of Guam has spent millions for software and you don't have the hardware to run it. And you're still paying on it over at behavioral health. That's one of the problems you got there. You're not taking care of that, Ray. Neither you, Eddie. You haven't done a damn thing about it. I'll tell you right now, you need to get off your carcass and get the job done. As far as I'm concerned, legalize marijuana. It's not a new idea, okay? It's going on all the way across the nation, you know, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. Legalize it, put it on top of the table, tax the sin out of it, and make sure that we're getting some money off of it. I've never heard of anybody robbing a bank because they were going to go out and buy some pot. They needed it. Okay, methamphetamine, yes, but not pot. Potheads do not rob banks. I don't know where you're getting your statistics. Are you watching Reefer Madness, 1950?
Okay. All right. Okay. You'll each now have a 1 minute rebuttal to those responses. Lieutenant Governor Tenorio.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can listen to the sensationalism. You can talk about rhetoric and politics and records, but the reality is we're talking about people's lives. We already have a problem with the education of many of our people, most of which who don't get the right education ultimately resort to crime. We need to improve those things, because if you're talking about whether it's crackhead or potheads that are going to commit those robberies, maybe you have better stats than I do. My experience as a cop for 15 years and being in public safety, overseeing the legislature, and now overseeing it in the Lieutenant Governor's office, it's still a problem, Gary. We need to make sure that we're not harming our community by allowing a course of action which is going to hurt more people. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to be smart about what we do. You take a course of action, you regret, it's too late. People's lives are destroyed. Many of us have been touched by drugs. We can't allow it to continue. Jesus Masi, thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Please. Attorney Gubernatorial, 1 minute rebuttal.
Again, this whole discussion has already been taking place all across the nation. And I think most of the people that were against pot, for the reasons you stated, have finally decided there was never anything to back that up. There are no facts to back it up. There are no studies to back it up. And if you've been watching Reefer Madness, I guess that you're still awake at night worrying about whether or not potheads are going to come and eat you like zombies. Okay, there's nothing to that. I don't advocate the use of pot. Pot takes away your ambition. You're not going to get anywhere in life if you do it. But I also don't advocate drinking. I don't drink alcohol. So the bottom line is legalizing it and telling people they should use it are two different things. But the reality is there's no need to keep the law the way it is. I work the law side, you work the street. Bottom line is there's need to waste the money in the system the way we do, pushing people that do pot into jail. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Now, this is a question that has to be asked, but none of us really want to think about it. But God forbid that if after the election, the governor that wins is unable to continue to serve for any reason, one of you would be our next governor. Why would you be more qualified as governor, or you Lieutenant Governor Tenorio, versus your candidate, versus your opponent? 1.5 minutes, Attorney Gubernatorial.
Well, I'm definitely better educated, and I got my degree on my own. Nobody had to help me or do it for me. On top of that, I've served in the military. I don't think you have either. I understand vets and their problems. I've also worked very hard to accomplish other things. I'm a Commodore in the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary. I'm a one-star admiral. Okay, when the military comes knocking on a door about buildup, I'm ready to talk. I know what needs to be done when we get to the negotiating table. That's why I think I can do a better job. I'm better seasoned. I ran Island Equipment Company and all the related companies for 13 years. I made millions of dollars for them. I ran 250 employees. I had no problem at all running that. I took care of it. I was a fiduciary for them. I made sure they got every cent that they were entitled to. I do my job. I do it well, or I'm not going to do it at all. I'm committed to the people of Guam. I don't have any other business ties. My only commitment is doing the people's business. I'm only there for them. I'll be there working every day. I know everybody that walks in the door because my job is to take care of the people of Guam.
Thank you. Thank you. No. I'll ask you not to do that. Not now, please. Thank you. Okay. Now, so Lieutenant Governor Tenorio, although you are running for Lieutenant Governor right now, you potentially could be our next governor. Why are you better qualified than Attorney Gubernatorial?
Unlike Gary, I have been serving the people of Guam for 30 years as a police officer, as a senator, and lieutenant governor. I don't need to prove anything.
Please.
I know what my record is, and I stand behind it. It's unfortunate. It seems like Gary said nobody helped him. I think he got public assistance from the people of Guam to get his degree. So did I. But the reality is we're talking about who makes better leader, who makes a better governor or lieutenant governor. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been working with the, I think is the finest man, the finest governor we've ever had, Eddie Calvo, who's been doing great things, who's been delivering great services, who's established a record which is far and away better than his opponent. We've been working as a legislature and be able to make laws and be able to deal with the senators, to be able to cooperate with the Department of Education and all the other bodies. I have been able to not just deal with 1-star, I've dealt with 3-star, 4-star generals and admirals. So never mind your 1-star. This is not about the number of stars that you have on your shoulder. This is about the number of credentials you have behind you, the things that make it a real leader. And ladies and gentlemen, that is a real leader, and I got a good man behind him.
Okay, thank you. Please, not yet. The breaks, hold on, please. Please, I'll ask, please. Let's hold that for a minute. Dr. Shea, closing remarks?
My mic is, there we go. Okay. Actually, I think we have room for one more question.
Good.
I like this question. Same question as we asked Governor Calvo and Governor Gutierrez. Actually, you get the question.
Bring it on.
Yes. The question is this. Tell me a strength and weakness of your opponent. and then vice versa.
Please allow the candidates to answer the question fully.
Gary is a sincere man. He's a good person. I have known him for a long time, and I had personally nothing against him. I can't say that there's nothing I don't like about him. I know that there's a lot of different things that people say in this political world, Gary, that ultimately you might, find bad or wrong or out of taste. But ultimately, I think Gary's a guy who's a straight shooter, and I think is an honest guy. I will say that he doesn't have the experiences that I have in the police department and being a senator and lieutenant governor. And if there is any weakness versus lieutenant governor candidates, I think that would be the only one, is that his experience is, I think, far less with respect to dealing with politics and making decisions and working with people in the ranks that we work, and working with, I think, just a fantastic administration who are driven by people who really want to make a difference, who want this government to serve them. And I have 4 years of experience in doing that and accomplishing the things that we've set out to do and living by the commitments that we've made and ultimately leading our island in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Gubernatorial.
I think Ray's strongest asset is his mother. I've known his mother for many, many years, over 20 years. And I tell you, she may not have any Chamorro blood, but you wouldn't know it. She's got every bit of the spirit of a Chamorro. She has been operating Tenancy Security since before I can remember. And she deals with people from all over the world there. And she's had some tough times, but she takes care of them like each one of them is her son or daughter. And she's worked very hard to build that business and worked hard to instill in each of those people and in each of the people in her family the kind of values that we honor and we cherish in our island community. And I think that that's Ray's biggest selling point, is that he's got that kind of a heritage. And he's very, very fortunate to have that. I think in terms of weakness, Ray's inability to handle best practices, to be able to see in the long term what's going. He doesn't have a global perspective. He's very linear in the way he looks at things. And I think that's the problem that we have with him. Thank you.
Thank you. Closing. Okay, so it's time for closing remarks.
Yes, so the first to close will be Attorney Gubernatorial. You have 1.5 minutes, and then Lieutenant Governor Tenorio will close last.
When I went to law school in the mainland, of course, because there's no law school on Guam. And when I checked in for the first day, I went to the registrar's office, and one of the professors was standing there when the registrar asked, "Where are you from?" I said, "Guam." And she says, "Where's Guam at?" And the professor next to me said, "Oh, I know where that is. That's just outside of Paris." I said, "That's right." I turned around and walked away. But I think that that's indicative of the problem we have. When we went to Congress, we asked for money for war claims, war reparations, they wouldn't give it to us because they don't know who we are. I was fortunate to come across this book that was put together by Senator Frank Blas, who's a Republican, by the way, but somebody that I really admire, and he really cares about the people of Guam. And this book, I believe, if you buy it and you keep it, and not just keep it on the table and let it gather dust, but read it, you find out the kind of atrocities and hardships that our people endured. I want to see to it that our Washington office buys one and gives it to every member of Congress so they can understand who Guam is and what it's all about. Because we need that kind of understanding if we're going to meet the quest for something like war claims, war reparations, and a public health service hospital, which is one of my goals here in Guam, to help reduce the cost of health care and to make it available to everybody without cost. So I ask each of you to look at this, because this book is so important. It talks about the lives of several members of our community, and many of which have already passed away. And some of the others are already getting sick and passing away. Thank you.
Please. Please.
Thank you.
Let's allow the candidates to express themselves without interruption. Lieutenant Governor Tenorio, your closing remarks.
Thank you very much. I have had the honor, and I really mean this, I'm honored to be the Lieutenant Governor of Guam. I'm absolutely stoked to be working with a man of such character and integrity. I've been fortunate to be able to deal with public safety and work with so many people in not just beautification, but grants. I've worked to go to Antalan to see the grand opening there and the ribbon cutting, and Tijan High School, which was established under Governor Calvo. I've seen bridges being repaired and ultimately improvements in our larger communities. My wife, Naj, is here tonight, who's headed up so many different programs, the Adopt a Road program and the Beautification Task Force and all the people working with us. I've had a privilege to be where I'm at today because of the people of Guam who made the right decision in 2010 to have people who want to move in the new direction. And we've taken that new direction and we've harnessed it and embraced it and loved every opportunity and every day. It's not an 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. We work a lot. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, if the people of Guam decide that we have done well by them, then we ask them to vote in the upcoming election for Eddie Calvo, Ray Tenorio, and the right direction one more time. Jesus Masi. Thank you.
Okay, hold your applause for a moment. Hold your applause. Dr. Shea?
Hello. There we go. One more time for Lieutenant Governor candidates. All right, so we're going to finish up with the last segment. Let's take another 10-minute break. We're going to remove the podiums, and then we have some free conversation right after this. Just come on back in 10 minutes, okay?
Thank you.
There are so many ways to stay connected and interact with the stations of KUAM online or via your mobile device. Like our pages on Facebook for news, promotions, and other exclusive features. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram for up-to-the-minute tweets, pics, and videos. Get social with the stations of KUAM to stay connected to our island home.
Guam is good because of its beauty. We are so blessed to live in paradise. Guam is good because of the values, customs, and respect passed from generation to generation. Guam is good because of our community's generous, giving nature. Guam is good because you can always count on our people to be there to celebrate the good times and help through the bad times.
10 years ago, our family founded the Edward M. Calvo Cancer Foundation as a tribute to our grandfather.
Our slogan, Guam is good, comes from 3 simple words that he stated just before passing away from cancer.
We were all touched by this disease, and his love for our island home motivated us to help others battling cancer.
Today, this message and his legacy lives on through the foundation.
Together with you, we have been able to provide assistance to so many battling cancer in our community, and will continue to help those in need thanks to your generosity.
Dangkulo na si Diyos maasi.
Tito Masi.
Guam is good.
Things got hot pretty quickly.
It was exciting.
So come and get me.
Pretty steamy stuff, huh?
This is getting good.
Bringing sexy back to daytime.
I never want to feel that I can't go to anyone for help. I never want to feel so alone that I consider doing something harmful. If this is you, say something, please.
If you feel hopeless and alone and empty, like there's nothing to look forward to, talk to someone. It helps. And people will listen. Add your voice at oktotalk.org.
This message has been brought to you by the KUAM Care Force.
KUAM News is committed to keeping you informed before you head to the polls this election. Watch D14 Tonight live every Monday evening on KUAM TV8 at 6:30 p.m. Meet the political hopefuls, hear from the analysts, get the latest poll results, cruise along with the candidates, and ask your questions on Guam's most comprehensive weekly election news broadcast. Tune into KUAM TV8 and Isla 63. Watch and streaming video on KUAM.com. Or interact and ask your questions via Facebook and keep the conversation going. There's only one source to turn to for all your Decision 2014 news. Guam's News Network, KUAM.
Be a hero. Get involved for kids for change.
For over a decade, the KUAM Care Force has been bringing smiles to our children in our community with our annual holiday toy drive.
This year, the spirit of giving continues as we are pleased to announce our partnership with the U.S. Marine Corps Toys for Tots program.
Join us and a host of businesses, organizations, and individuals all over Guam as we spread that Christmas joy by collecting new unwrapped toys and gifts for children in need.
The Toys for Tots program, now in its 6th year on island, benefits the Salvation Army in their annual Santa's Workshop program.
You may drop off your new unwrapped toys for children and teens between now and December 13th to any of our boxes around Guam or the KUAM studios in Harmon.
On behalf of the U.S. Marine Corps
and the KUAM Care Force,
we thank you for coming together
and sharing in the spirit of the season.
Talk about Guam. We want to hear from you. See your pics of our beautiful island and people and get your thoughts about what's going on in our community. Tag your comments, photos, and tweets with Talk About Guam from any of your social media accounts, and we may feature them on KUAM News.
It's back. The KUAM Care Force presents the annual Trick or Treat 2K and 5K Family Fun Run Walk, brought to you by Leo Palace Resort on Sunday, October 26th. Come in your costume for the most fun you'll have at any race event on Guam, with a zombie Zumba warm-up, plenty of treats along the race course, a costume contest, post-race games, and certificates for the top finishers in each division, plus t-shirts to the first 250 5K finishers, Trick or Treat bags for the first 250 2K finishers, and Halloween medals for the first 250 kid finishers 10 and under. Showtime is 4:15 p.m. with go time at 5 p.m. at the Leo Palace Resort. Advanced registration is only $6 per person and $20 for a family of 4. Register at KUAM in Harmon, Hornet Sports, or Leo Palace Resort. Race day registration is $10 per person. You can also download the application at KUAM.com/promotions. Proceeds benefit the Special Olympics Guam. Get ready to howl at the spooktacular sunset at the KUAM Care Force annual Trick or Treat 2K and 5K. Brought to you by Leo Palace Resort. Special thanks to Gatorade, Hanum, Community First Federal Credit Union, McDonald's of Guam, Loco Promos, and Chuck E. Cheese. For more information, call 635-5836 or visit us online at KUAM.com/promotions.
Top of the day, everyone, and welcome back to KUAM's live broadcast of the Guam Medical Association's Gubernatorial debate. I'm Sabrina Salas-Matanani. I'm with our analysts, Jesse Lujan and Sean Gumatata. What did you guys think so far?
Well, I think this was a continuation of last week at the Rotary. Definitely the Gutierrez Gumatata team were at the defense. They were pretty stiff about